Results are coming in from yesterday's primary elections in 7 states, among them California, where it appears that the race for Los Angeles' next mayor is heading to a November runoff. But results for many of the other races are still yet to be determined, as California allows for mail-in ballots. Our senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is in Los Angeles, getting up dark and early for us, it looks like back there. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Yes, we're waiting for President Biden's arrival and handling political results at the same time. One-stop shop out here. Let's work through some of those results. As you pointed out, they are not yet final. And remember, California holds an open primary out here. So if somebody wins with 50% of the vote in the first round, they win outright. If not, it goes to a runoff on General Election Day in November. Let's start with the mayor's race. Congresswoman Karen Bass, a progressive, longtime lawmaker, currently in a runoff now with billionaire developer, Republican turned Democrat Rick Caruso. Both of them will advance. We spent some time with them in recent days. Bass was once considered to be Joe Biden's running mate and says tackling crime, homelessness, and the cost of living are her top priorities. Caruso has spent at least $40 million of his own dollars blanketing the airwaves, and he's vying to spend millions more to win with a big tough on crime message. There are also notable congressional results in California. Congressman David Valadao running second right now, but advancing to a runoff in a district now drawn to favor Democrats. We should point out, by the way, that checkmark is a sign that at least one of them has definitely advanced. We're waiting for the final results, but it is expected there that David Valadao will advance. He's one of 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach former President Trump and the first to face voters since doing so. Another Republican to watch this morning, Young Kim, in her first term, advancing to the runoff, as it's expected she will, but currently trailing Democratic opponent Asif Mahmood in another redrawn district. If these two GOP incumbents lose out here in California, it's an example of how redistricting has been used by either party to try to keep the margins of the other smaller as they try to either hold on to the majority as Democrats or win back control of the House as Republicans. If Republicans win the majority, they may have been hoping for a few more seats, but out here in California, the way the maps were drawn, it may end up robbing them of a bigger majority. There was one other result here in California last night that is definitive. Up in San Francisco, Chesa Boudin, the district attorney, lost a recall election. He was elected in 2019 on a police reform platform, but residents concerned about high-profile crimes like smash-and-grab robberies in shopping districts and those anti-Asian attacks that we've seen not only in San Francisco but across the country, saying that his essentially soft-on-crime approach or softer-on-crime approach does not merit him holding on to the job. The city's mayor, London Breed, will have to appoint a successor. We should point out, Anne-Marie, District Attorney of San Francisco is the job that Vice President Harris once held.
Good reminder. Listen, I want to just ask you another question about this recall effort, successful recall effort with Chesa Boudin. The thing about it is, as you point out, this is a progressive district attorney in a progressive city, and they voted for him prior to the pandemic, but we know a lot of things happened over the last couple of years that kind of sort of changed the landscape. But what does this mean moving forward? Other Democrats in big cities looking at the results of this recall effort, do you think it may have an influence on the Democratic agenda moving forward?
I think it's important to remember, Anne-Marie, that most Democrats across the country, at least most Democratic office holders, do not support the so-called defund the police movement. They understand that police may need to be revamped, rethought, reorganized, but not defunded. Boudin was one of those that perhaps most reflected that idea, that it needed a radical overhaul. We saw some of this in Minneapolis as well in the wake of George Floyd's murder. In this case, San Francisco being such a deep blue city, it is a symbolic loss for somebody who was advancing that kind of theory. But remember, we've already seen in New York City, Eric Adams elected on a tougher on crime message. We're seeing Democrats in races like the Maryland governor's race talk about being tougher on crime in Baltimore. It's not unique to here, but it is a reflection that even in deep blue Democratic cities where there was talk of radically reforming the police in recent years, given the rise in crime, given concerns about homelessness, quality of life, and the cost of living, there is a push to make sure that law and order is handled a little more aggressively.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you very much, Ed.